Good morning, November 13th. Time for another garden update. Gonna have some flowers and herbs over in this area by my septic tank here. The cool season has just begun. I'll be harvesting sweet potatoes, and then the bottom part of the worm tower there is going to be spread into a new area where I pull the sweet potatoes up from. Rosemary has been planted, little rosemary plants all around this little path here. That's gonna create a lot of herbs and good smells. I'll be using rosemary for tea. If you haven't tried that before, I highly recommend it. This bed's doing pretty good. Got a wide variety. Some chives in a couple locations, little bits of mint, radishes, some sort of mustard-like green, and then some, I think, broccoli or collards in the back there. Some tomato plants that are doing good so far, but I'm kind of skeptical. I never have success with those. Green onions, of course, marigolds. Some sage sprouts coming up in the back there. Mexican oregano always doing well. And this bed, a fruit tree coming up right there. I think that might be Mesa Pote. Got a purple cone flower blossoming. Very cute. The bugs are still destroying my attempts at Seminole pumpkin, so I had my assistant put on DE. We'll see. We got kale sprouts, red Russian kale. I'll be having a purple variety coming to me soon. Along this trellis back there, gonna have some Cherokee Trail of Tears beans coming up with basil sprouts as their companion. It's a bit cool now. The cool season is just now starting, so we'll see how those beans do. Got a good patch of radishes and mustard greens over here. That stick is a cassava that's been harvested. Keeps coming back real quick. And that triangle patch there is just moringa and pigeon pea. Over here I just have a bunch of pots with random cuttings, a couple figs, longevity spinach, chaya, a rosemary cutting, Mexican oregano, and put some seeds in some of those empty pots, see if they come up. This pine bed, I cut down my biggest papaya over there, and it is sprouting back. I'm not sure how that's going to do. And this pine bed has that mystery mustard-like green, and it also has a bunch of different peppers, like I think poblanos, and a few other things. And this bed, the green amaranth seems to be doing better in the cool weather, so I planted a bunch more seeds, so I got a bunch of sprouts coming up. I really would like to get a lot of amaranth growing as a feed supplement for my chickens, and I guess rabbits as well. I have a Black Mission fig in a big pot over there I'm going to be making a bunch of cuttings from, and an oak tree right beside it. That's going to go out in the yard in place of a pine someday. This long bed on the border of my property has some Katokan longevity spinach, of course, and then I believe there are a bunch of radish sprouts. This also gets a lot of shade. I'm actually standing under a papaya canopy. But eventually those papayas will last maybe 1 or 2 more years, maybe 1 more year, and then this will become a lot more shaded. I like this hedge of chaya in the back. At some point I'm gonna try and get those just to be tall and skinny, and then grow beans and Malabar spinach up them. And this bed also has cassava roots in it that come up, and then I cut them and give them to the rabbits, and then they just keep coming back. I'm really happy with how easy cassava has been to grow. So it's going to be a new mainstay. Although I'm not going to grow it in beds after this next harvest. I'm going to just grow it in the sand because it seems to do so well there. My mulberry tree looking alright. It's working on a crop of fruits for me. Once it starts getting cooler, it's going to lose all the leaves, and then I will make, I'm hoping, 20 cuttings. We'll see. This other part of the pine bed also is pretty shaded because of the surrounded by moringas and a big papaya. I don't even remember what's in there. I basically have no idea what that is. This is my horrendous sweet potato patch. I just throw random debris and cuttings on top of the sweet potato leaves, and then the sweet potato leaves eventually come out on top again. I'm hoping I got some sweet potatoes in there, but I didn't do that good of a job setting it up. I kind of just grabbed a bunch of sweet potato vines and buried it, and they've been coming up. I'll definitely be showing that when I harvest. Maybe this weekend. I did a bit of an experiment. It was very weedy, so what I did was I just threw some cardboard on top of the weeds and then soil on top of that cardboard, and that was supposed to keep the weeds from coming up. And then I planted a ton of seeds like cilantro, dill, I think peas, toothache herb, and it looks like about 99% of them died. I did shove some fruit tree seedlings, and I think there are 3 mamey sapotes right there, and then a mystery plant that looks kind of like an elephant ear, and then tons of weeds, and I think right here are some buttercup squash or something, and some sweet potatoes. My peach tree back there looked like it was going to die, so I gave it a dose of rabbit poop, and it's got some green growth coming up, so that's good. And maybe I'll have a peach tree and a couple mamey sapote trees over here in the border. Alright, now I'll talk about these 3 beds over here. This bed has got quite a mix, as you can see. Towards the front here is a bunch of radishes and some mix of marigolds, moringa, chaya. I also have sweet potatoes here. I'm not sure if those are going to be worth harvesting or not, but I'm going to give it a try. I planted 2 pineapples. One mysteriously died, but I still have one doing alright. 3 papaya trees there. Papaya and moringa and chaya are 3 things I'm not going to be putting in beds anymore, because they make too much shade, and they probably take too many nutrients from the soil. So those are going to be planted mostly further out from now on, I think, or on the side of beds or something. This bed, it's got a little bit of a bok choy there in the corner, a few radishes here and there, little carrot sprouts all over most of it. Looks like some collards coming up, nasturtiums from last year that it didn't plant, and some pigeon peas, another tree that's not going to be in the beds this coming year. And here looks like there's some nasturtiums coming up, and I put some weed seeds because I wanted to introduce some beneficial weeds to my garden. Here there should be some dandelion and plantain coming up. It is the cool season though, so we'll see how they do. Got a sweet potato blossom over there in the other bed, and a little papaya tree here, another papaya tree there, and I also put a dying looking Barbados cherry tree. No idea if that's going to make it. We shall see on that one. Alright, this bed, some neglected cassava that keeps coming back vigorously. And I'm not sure what seeds are in this bed, I forgot. Some maybe ashwagandha. Looks like some collards are over here. I tried chard. I always fail with chard. These beans are kind of just looking miserable and not growing up the trellis. And this, I have a red tower ginger that has been harvested for shampoo. It didn't produce enough. This one plant did not produce enough shampoo for one use. so I actually don't recommend it. I plan on getting rid of that and just using this as a bed. That feathery thing is a weed that came up. I think it's called dog fennel, I think. And in the front here, looks like some cranberry hibiscus are coming up. But mostly I think these are bell pepper seeds and basil sprouts. And Mexican oregano here that I keep butchering and using as a green mulch fertilizer type of thing. That's another thing I don't recommend putting in beds anymore. It is a very vigorous grower. Papaya chaya, probably my best mulberry cuttings, just going mostly straight up. And then a couple Cavendish bananas. I shoved in some longevity spinach cuttings and a katuk cutting and some nasturtium seeds. We'll see how those do. My avocado trees there. A potted Suriname cherry that I'm going to probably put in the front. Another papaya doing pretty well, and this is the blue Cavendish banana. Behind the avocado tree there, I literally just tossed a bunch of daikon radish seeds, a new type of radish I'm growing. And they're doing okay so far. I'm hoping I'll get a bunch of big old daikon radishes. Very healthy for you. And on this side I just have a kind of small row of papaya with a mulberry cutting and a couple other things in the bed there. This is an apple banana tree, and just got kind of a patch of miscellaneous squash we're going to be thinning out. I'll probably leave 3 in that spot. That's diatomaceous earth you see all over that. And next is a potted Mexican sunflower, and that is a guava tree, a little one, forgot the type. And on my other side here, put a new bed. Let's see, I think there are some eggplant there, some burdock, and probably a couple herbs. And here, by this papaya and other guava, I see some nasturtium coming up, and probably some kale is over here. Little apple banana sprout there. This is a variety of Cecropia I just put in the ground. This is going to get massive, drop tons of leaves that are beneficial for the soil, and it will have a fruit that kind of looks like an octopus or a squid, and it has a jelly consistency and a sweet flavor. So I'm looking forward to that. And let's see right here, I pruned my curry leaf tree. It's looking a little happier after I did that. Hopefully it gets real big and productive for me this next season. And over here, a little papaya, another apple banana, and there's a patch over here. Let's see, I think there's probably more eggplant. Yeah, I can't remember. We'll see. I have a jackfruit tree right here. And there's the new hose attachment. Kind of found a piece of bamboo and cemented it into the ground, and saved myself a lot of work by not digging a giant trench for this PVC pipe. And not the most attractive looking thing, but I really don't care. I'm totally fine with that. And that stick in the center of the screen there is a persimmon, Fuyu persimmon, which is the best kind of persimmon. It's also I put a purslane down at the bottom there, and Mexican sunflower, and a cassava cutting. And here I have a row. In the middle is little papaya seedlings. On the right side is a bunch of Mexican sunflower cuttings. And looks like I got a bunch of herb sprouts in this bed. Wow, I gotta remember what those are. So many seeds all over the place, it's hard to keep track. Yeah, we'll have to just see. So basically I just dug up the ground here, threw on some rabbit poop, and then some mostly composted mulch. That's my preferred method. I think that's going to be it for this update.